Hello and welcome back to the Dugout podcast. This is episode number 85. And today, as always, I'm joined by my co host, Ethan Barlow, to go over all the happenings in Scottish football. Of course, there were some mid-week games last week, so we're going to start on that, talk about the state of play in the league. It's getting really exciting, spoiler alert. And then, obviously, in the second part of the show, we'll be going over the Scottish Cup results at the weekend. But first of all, Ethan, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. It was another entertaining couple of match days in both the Scottish Cup and the league, and we've got some massive games coming up over the next and this week rather, especially for Hearts and Rangers and considerations to that to the title race. We obviously got a Rangers v Celtic Scottish Cup quarter final to look forward to as well. So yeah, everything's happening at the minute, and it's just been as exciting as it's always been this season. How's yourself, Alex?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm riding high after the lows of not scoring a goal in a game. Rangers have scored 13 in their last two, so I'm pretty pleased with that, and I'm sure we'll get on to the ins and outs of those performances. But we'll start first of all on possibly the biggest result of the week. St Mirren won, Hearts nil on Tuesday night at the Smizer under the lights. The buddies did it. They took points off the league leaders, and it was well deserved. Craig Halkett helped them out as he was sent off in the 29th minute of the game, just after he was announced as Hearts Player of the Month. So he was, and you feel for him, but it's definitely a red card.
Yeah, exactly that. He's kind of put in a difficult position by his centre back partner, Stuart Finlay. He gets caught on the ball. Mikael Mandron puts pressure on him. It's not a foul. Then it looks like Craig Halkett's done well with the first initial challenge. I think it might have been with uh, I can't, Dan Illandulu, I think it was, that he had the sort of 50-50 with, and then Jacob Devaney comes in, who I thought was excellent on his debut for St Mirren. Obviously, we'll get on to him getting the goal in the cup game as well. And yeah, it's a clear red card. There's no dispute on this one, like there might have been with the Austin Trusty one a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, no, definitely. This is it's a clear red card. Halkett just mistimes the challenge. Well, I don't think he was really caring by that point. He was just trying to stop them from conceding in any way he could, and he did achieve that. Um, it was just outside the box, so it was a free kick. Nothing ended up coming of it. St Mirren were much the better team for the majority of the game. However, I think we did see Ethan why they've struggled so much this season. The lowest scoring team in the division, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check that.
I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah, they are by one, just below Dundee. And yeah, they're the lowest scoring team in the division. And I think we saw why, because they had umpteen chances to put the game to bed, and they did leave it till the 88th minute to put Hearts to the sword.
Yeah, exactly that. And that is what we've seen from St Mirren all season. I think if you look at the XG table, and sometimes that's taken massive leaps, then St Mirren are, I think, a lot higher than what they are placed in the league at the minute because of the amount of chances they've missed. The strikers not really hitting form. And yeah, it's been difficult in that sense. And you've seen that. They just looked like a team that lacked confidence to find the back of the net, despite dominating, especially the second half. They had complete control of the game, and Hearts never really laid a glove on them. I think St Mirren were even the better team when both teams had 11 men on the park, to be fair to them. It just wasn't Hearts' day. They didn't play well at all. Derek McInnes took, well, he kind of sort of took responsibility, but also said that his players just weren't good enough after the game, I think, and that was a fair reflection on the game because Hearts, despite going to Dens and riding out the win with 10 men, and then obviously beating St Mirren in the reverse fixture at Tynecastle with 10 men. There's only so many times you can go a man down and expect to take 3 points. And I believe it's something ridiculous like I think it's 6 red cards in Hearts' last 5 league games. 3 for them, 3 for their opposition. So yeah, that's remarkable. And obviously they've got through, taking advantage in most cases, but this was a step too far. And eventually, when St Mirren did get a goal, it was well deserved.
Yeah, yeah, it was a corner kick, swung in by Declan John, who I think he's maybe flown under the radar this season a bit. I think he's been good for them for most of the season. He's always been dangerous from set pieces, even if you go back to sort of his Rangers days, and maybe not a star player by any means, but he always had that sort of ability to put a ball in or score from a free kick, which he's done. So he puts the ball into the box, and Miguel Freckleton rises above everyone to put it away. The Smizer goes mental, and you could, but you could feel the cheering of the St Mirren supporters, but you could almost hear and you could almost imagine Rangers and Celtic fans everywhere jumping up and cheering as well, because this is a massive result in the title race.
Yeah, well, exactly that, and I also seen Motherwell fans responding very happily to the goal. I think had their game not been postponed the next day, they would have the chance to go within 8 points of Hearts, which I mean it's a big margin, but especially when Motherwell, sorry, have still got to play Celtic, Rangers, and Hearts all twice more, I believe. There's no reason why, with the way they play, and of course the fourth favourites, and they're probably a lot less chance than the other three. But you never know, and that football fans are allowed to dream, aren't they? So yeah, but of course, I think everybody apart from Hearts fans were happy to see that goal go in, despite despite everybody saying how good it would be for Hearts to win the league. A lot of this country either support Celtic, Rangers, or Hearts rivals Hibs. So yeah, it kind of works that way. But no, I completely agree with your point, Declan John. I think he's been really good this season. He was excellent in the League Cup final, one of the standouts. I think Miguel Freckleton's also had a really good season since coming from down south. So yeah, two of their key players this season, and a massive goal for St Mirren in the league context as well, because Kelly had obviously picked up the 3 points of the weekend to put a little bit of pressure on them. So it grew a little bit of a buffer there. So massive result for Stephen Robinson, massive result in terms of the title race.
Yeah, absolutely. St Mirren, just to comment on that, they're now head of Dundee. They're up into ninth. They're starting to drag themselves away from that. Kilmarnock still down on 17 points. Dundee and St Mirren both on 23. Livingston away down at the bottom on 11. And it's becoming more and more likely, looking at Livingston will be going straight down. They lost 2-1 at home to Falkirk. They went 2-0 down in the first half, thanks to goals from Kyrell Wilson and Louis Marsh. A more spirited second half showing, though. They got a goal back through Conor McLennan, but they just, they couldn't pull it back. And I feel like Livingston, this has sort of been the story of their season, Ethan. They just keep shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah, yeah, you don't stand a lot of chance when you give away 2 goals in the opening 25 minutes, and it very easily could have been 3 goals because Barney Stewart had a good header, which he was offside, and I think that maybe showed his lack of experience with his run, because you could see he was offside the whole time. Really good ball from Calvin Miller, who, like Declan John, I'd put in the category of probably having one of the best deliveries in the league. I think it was Charlie Mulgrew, was it, that said that apparently Celtic tried to make a late move for him, obviously a former Celtic player. But yeah, it was 2 well-worked goals from a Falkirk point of view, but poor defending from Livingston. Louis Marsh does well to find Kyrell Wilson. I'm maybe asking a little bit of a question of whether Jerome Pryor can close down the angle there, but a good finish regardless. And then Louis Marsh gets on the score sheet with the well-worked goal from the corner. Barney Stewart flicks it on and he taps it out at the back post. It was always going to be a long way back for Livingston from there. But good goal from Conor McLennan. I think it was it Henderson, I think, that was maybe down injured, and Falkirk wanted a fill in the box, but he played on and took his goal well to bring them back into the game, but ultimately meant nothing, and another loss for Livingston. And yeah, even the team that it didn't seem like they could lose to. I'll have to check their record against Falkirk, but it's remarkably good considering how well Falkirk have done this season and considering Falkirk obviously beat them out to the championship last season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big result for Falkirk. Just looking at the league table now, they're 8 points clear of Aberdeen. Obviously, Aberdeen have that game in hand. As them, Celtic, Motherwell, and Dundee, their games were all postponed on Wednesday night due to waterlogged pitches in Dundee and Pittodrie. So, but yeah, Falkirk, that distance is um, will be welcome, and I'll talk about it later on when we're speaking about Rangers, and I'll talk about it now for Aberdeen and Falkirk. Game in hand isn't guaranteed points, so they'll be happy to have that distance between them and Aberdeen, and they seem well on their way for a top six finish. They're now only 3 points behind Hibs as well. So, and Hibs have looked inconsistent at the best of times this season. So if Falkirk can, keep this good form going, they could find themselves in fifth.
Yeah, exactly that. And yeah, it was a massive win for Falkirk. I know on the face of it, it looks like one of the more favourable games going to Livingston, but I think people forget how close these teams were at the end of the championship last season and how well of a job Falkirk have done to come up to a league that in recent history they've been very unfamiliar. And John McGlynn's done an excellent job to have them even in the conversation for top six. I think it was their second win in the last 16 games against Livingston, so a really poor run. And to get that win will give them the confidence that they can and beat anyone in this league. And I think that's what they've shown this season. I know they've lost twice to Celtic recently, but in both games they easily could have got something, especially in the one at Falkirk. So yeah, Falkirk are looking really good, one of the form teams in the league at the minute, and it's going to be difficult for Hibs to hold on to fifth place with the way Falkirk are playing at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to the third and final game of the Wednesday evening, Rangers hosted Kilmarnock at Ibrox, and it wasn't the best sort of first half for Rangers. They did take the lead in the fifth minute through James Tavernier, a penalty. Shock horror for anyone wondering. In case you were speculating there, it was a penalty. Rangers were on the attack. Mikey Moore played the ball through to Jedi Gassama. All he had to do was step onto it and shoot. Probably would have missed, but it's definitely a goal scoring opportunity. And Dominic Thompson, he sort of panics, realises Gassama's wrong side, brings him down without any real attempt to play the ball, and he's sent off. And Rangers are awarded the penalty. Do you have any complaints about this one, Ethan?
No, I think he has to go. Unfortunately, I think he's unlucky, and I feel sorry for him because it's not really the much he can do. It's a really well worked move from Mikey Moore, and then he times his pass, and Deddy Gassama times his run excellently to get him behind, and he just sees him and tries to sort of put a little bit on him. But when he's travelling at that pace, then it doesn't take a lot for him to go down. And yeah, Gassama does well to win the penalty. And when David Dickinson points to the spot, there's only going to be really one outcome, unfortunately, for the Kelly fullback. And you would think it was going to be a really long night for Kilmarnock, but despite James Tavernier converting the penalty well, as he usually does, they held out well in the first half. And it wasn't.
I would disagree with your wording there. I wouldn't say held out. I would say this is the point we're going to get.
Yeah.
It was quite worrying for Rangers. I would say they looked like the team with 10 men. Kilmarnock were actually playing through them a lot of the time. They had opportunities. Bruce Anderson should have converted at least once. Kilmarnock were good. They were winning second balls. Tyrese John Jules was excellent, I thought, sort of occupying that left-hand side, holding the ball up, allowing his teammates to come up the pitch. And yeah, I think 10-man Kilmarnock really made a good showing of themselves in that first half. And I'd even go so far as to say they were the better team.
Yeah, well, I didn't have the pleasure of watching the full 90 minutes like you did. And yeah, maybe holding out was an unfair term to use, and that shows credit to Kilmarnock that they were able to stay in the game and compete with Rangers, and not only stay in the game, but maybe look more likely to score. And I think that was maybe what warranted. I think we both gave our thoughts on this kind of thing before, but the reception that the Rangers players got at half time, despite being a goal up, but obviously, they took they got the message, and obviously they inflicted what the Rangers fans would have expected them to on their opponents in the second half.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I will say though, probably up until the substitutes, it still wasn't plain sailing. Boyamiowski did get a goal. It was that in the 58th minute. A really nicely worked move with him at the centre of it, moving the ball about. He gets the layoff from Mo Diamande just outside the box, across into the bottom right hand corner from Miowski. Um, and I just want to touch on him quickly. We saw the debut of Ryan Naderi, and Miowski stayed on. Um, and I'll talk about probably on Sunday as well. He looks better when he's got somebody to play off of, when he's not the sole striker. When he's allowed to come deep and link, and then there's someone up there occupying the defenders. Um, Maybe this is the play for Bojan Miowski, but it was a nice finish from him. Um, but Rangers didn't. I don't think Rangers really turned the screw until the introduction of the subs in the 60th minute. Andreas Skov Max Aarons, Ryan Naderi making his debut came on. Then two Romans came on in the 65th minute. And then Oliver Antman came on in the 76th after an Andreas Skov goal. Two Romans was brilliant in his cameo, 25 minutes. Picked up an assist. He was instrumental in this move as well. Bombing down the left hand side, gets the ball across. It is blocked. Mikey Moore takes it in. He's calm and composed, lays it off for Andreas Skov who curls it into the top corner. Oliver Antman then comes on in the 76th minute. But Rangers 3-0 up. They couldn't keep the clean sheet. Unfortunately, a bit of a disastrous moment from Jack Butland in the goals. Nasser Giga plays it back to him, and he just scuffs it. I don't know if he was too relaxed or whatever, but a really, really poor goal to concede. And Greg Kelty's there to tap it into not tap it in, but he does put it into the empty net. Rangers in the 89th minute made it 4. Oliver Antman, who has looked quite good in the last couple of games as well. Two Romans with his debut assist. And then Mikey Moore got his goal at the end of the night. A nice finish from him. And I will say that he thoroughly deserved that. He was man of the match. Mikey Moore was brilliant. And now, with sort of the introduction of Skov Olsen, Ant-Man looking like he's playing all right again, I'd probably have him, Skov Olsen, Gassama occupying the wings, dump Taylor Ascott at the side, and get Mikey Moore playing in that 10 position, because he looks immense in there. But yeah, in the end, it turned out to be a good win for Rangers.
Yeah, and I agree with you on the point of Mikey Moore, because looking at the highlights, he looked thoroughly involved in most of what Rangers done well, and especially you see for the penalty, the way he's drifting into that area of the pitch, he's very capable, and I think we've seen that he likes to sort of drift into the inside areas, unlike Gassama, who I would say is probably the opposite on the other side. But yeah, I think Rangers have shown that they've got a lot of options. Oliver Antman seems to be maybe becoming a little bit more of a favourable option than what we maybe thought previously. And Bojan Miovski's getting in the goals as well. Some really nice finishes from Rangers. Thought Miovski's was a good finish. Andrei Skov was a really nice finish. I think it was Bojan Miovski actually sort of curled it round.
Yeah.
Who was just in front of the eye line of the goalkeeper, but obviously played on side by the Kilmarnock defenders. I think the defending for one of the goals. I think it might have been Mikey Moores was really poor, but take nothing away from him. It's a good finish, and as you said, he deserved it. And yeah, we'll see how Rangers rotate in the next game. Shows that he's got a lot of options there now. Danny Rowan. I think with Bojan Miovski, no matter what role you want to try and play him in at Rangers, he's going to be playing something different to the responsibilities he had at Aberdeen. I think people have touched on this point to death, but his strength at Aberdeen was somewhat running in behind the defence, and for most occasions, you're not really going to get that playing for Rangers, especially domestically. So, yeah, that's something that will obviously be needed to take into consideration. But he's starting to find the back of the net on that a regular basis, and it looks like Yusuf Chermiti's going to struggle to get game time if him and the Derry are scoring the rates they have been recently.
Yeah, and the Derry as well. He did. He looked good when he came on. He should have scored. A great opportunity for him. Andreas Skov-Olsen lays it back to him, and he just put it wrong side of the post. But I thought he looked really, really good. A striker that occupies the 6-yard box as well, something Rangers have been missing. So yeah, a lot to come from him. And after that result, Rangers now up into second, 3 points ahead of Celtic. Of course, Celtic have that game in hand. I think we should talk about that in a minute and the run of fixtures that they have. Because it's, if you're a Celtic fan, you're probably looking at that and going, oh no. But I'm sure they're confident that they can win all those games. But anyway, Rangers up into second, 3 points behind Hearts. They play Hearts next week. They play Motherwell on Wednesday. Big week for Rangers. Big week for the title race, Ethan. Really, really interesting. And it's good. Rangers have started to catch up on the goal difference as well, it looks like.
Yeah, exactly that. Massive week for all three of the teams. It'll be different, as I said. Obviously, Hearts have got the massive matters of playing their rivals, which they'll want revenge, but they go into wounded from the St Mirren result, and obviously losing their captain on top of their two of their best players this season on the injury list. And then they've got to go to Ibrox, which is not going to be an easy game either. And for Rangers, it's the same. Welcome Hearts at the weekend, but before then, they obviously need to go to Fir Park, which seems like one of the most difficult places to go in the league at the minute. Whereas Celtic,
I've been parroting the stat that you've been saying all season. I've been parroting it to my dad and my uncle and going, they've not conceded at Fir Park since October.
yeah.
It's going to be a tough wall to break down.
Yeah, well, what better way to do it than there's not really much better preparation than scoring 13 goals or 12. Well, I'd say 12 goals in a game and a half as well. So that's going to give the Rangers players the confidence that maybe they didn't have at Easter Road, that they can create chances from open play, and obviously with the new signings, that's going to help that. So, and then Celtic have two fixtures that you feel they really need to take an advantage of: Livingston at home and then Kilmarnock away, because as you said, the fixture list is going to go through a very difficult period in three different competitions. So they've got to take advantage, Celtic, because Rangers and Hearts have the more difficult fixtures at this period.
Yeah, so Celtic do play Livingston, then Kilmarnock, then they host Stuttgart, they host Hibs, and then this is where it gets interesting. They need to play the away leg in Stuttgart on Thursday the 26th of February, then travel to Ibrox on Sunday the 1st of March. They then travel to Pittodrie on the Wednesday to play that rescheduled game against Aberdeen. And then they go back to Ibrox on the Saturday to play them in to play Rangers in the Scottish Cup. Is that perhaps the toughest run of fixtures for any team this season, do you think, Ethan, in such a short space of time?
Yeah, I think it is. And I think of the four fixtures, the away ones in a row, especially. I know we're not considering Aberdeen to be one of the strongest teams in the league at the moment, but that's always going to be a difficult fixture to go away there. Hopefully the weather's cleared up in that part of Scotland, because it has been really poor, and we've obviously seen the Both league and cup fixtures struggle because of it. But yeah, that's going to be really difficult. How Martin Neil rotates his squad throughout those games, I don't know. Maybe Hibs at home and Aberdeen are away are the ones he maybe fields a slightly weaker squad for, but it's not ideal games to be fielding sort of players that haven't been really performing. I think we'll get on to the Celtics game at the weekend, but I think we've maybe seen some players stepping up with the pressure of the new signings. But yeah, that's difficult. And I think if Martin Neil was to win all four of those games, he may as well just start getting the statue built outside the stadium because, yeah, I think the guy's already worked some amount of miracles. But yeah, I can't see Celtic coming out of the end of that with 4 wins from four. I'd be very surprised. Obviously, that's not required, and well, it will be required in that stretch of four away games, and then well, depending on obviously what happens in the first leg away and not home at Celtic Park against Stuttgart. But yeah,
Just
really,
all you need to do is beat them like 7-0, and then you don't need to worry about the reverse fixture.
yeah.
Complete.
Or they could just do what they done against Utrecht, just score goals and then just not concede this time. But I don't think it's going to be that easy. But yeah, but I think yeah. But at the end of the day, if you want to win competitions, especially cup competitions like Europa League, Scottish Cup, you were going to have to play Rangers at some point. You would imagine. Obviously, it's not ideal that it's at Ibrox. Hopefully, I think we're going to get to see somewhat of a return of the bigger away allocations, which should make for a little bit of a better atmosphere, I think. But
Gonna
yeah,
make you have to get a blooming ticket.
yeah, for you, yeah, it will be, yeah.
Mm,
I think we've got. I think you said. I don't. Did you forget about one of the league games?
don't think so.
Because you said it was the last game on the Wednesday, but we've not done the Hibs
Oh yeah.
Dundee United
You
game
know
yet.
what I did? I, I
Well,
looked at it, and then for some reason I thought we'd done it. Sorry about that.
we did speak about it just before recording. In fairness, so
Yeah, so sorry about that, folks. Any Hibs fans or Dundee United? Well, I'd imagine the Dundee United fans aren't too bothered about me skipping over it, but yeah, any fans that wanted to hear that, sorry for skipping over that. We'll get on to that now. Hibs hosted Dundee United at Easter Road in the final game of the Wednesday fixtures, and they came away with the 3-2 win. They opened the scoring through Martin Boyle in the 36th minute. However, Dundee United equalised in the 74th through Ross Graham. And then Max Waters looked like he'd pinched it for Dundee United in the 81st. But that was not the case. Ross Graham on the score sheet again, but this time at the wrong end. 2 each. And then brand new signing, Ante Suto, straight in the door, making the difference in the 93rd minute. A good header from him, probably the only good goal of the game. Yeah, poor quality of goals in that game. To top it off, a 5 goal. I don't want to say thriller, but you know,
yeah, 5 goal thriller. Yeah, that's a 5 goal thriller.
5 goal,
Despite the quality of the goals, it still probably is.
5 goal thriller then. And Hibs get away with the 3-2 win here, Ethan. A really important win for Hibs because we were just talking about how good Falkirk have been recently. They need to get these wins over the line.
Yeah, they do. Because Falkirk are hot on their tails, and it looked like they were going to get the win, and then it looked like Dundee United were going to. They had Hibs that, and Dundee United were going to get the win, and then they obviously came back in the late stages to get the job done. I think some of the new signings from looking at the highlights looked really good. They obviously brought Dane Scarlett in to start the game. Felix Pashlack at right back or right wing back, and then Manasi Garanaga on loan from Copenhagen. But yeah, they took their goals, some of the goals well. Anthony Suto one's really nice header. And I think that they've strengthened in the striking department despite selling Kieran Bowie with the amount of options they've got and the quality. It looks Dane Scarlett,
And getting rid of their record signing as well, dumping him out
yeah,
on.
yeah, I know. Dane Scarlett looked really promising, and the Hibs fans seem to be really happy with him. I think the Dundee United were a wee bit unfortunate with some of the goals, coupled with some terrible defending. Obviously, the first one takes a deflection off Cleo Harden, and then for the second goal, Dundee United concede. It's terrible defending. Cleo Harden has to clear it off the line, but can only really sort of put it towards Ewan, and then Ross Graham beats him to put it in his own net. But terrible defending from Hibs as well for the two like almost identical goals they concede. Crosses from the left to the back post. So that'll be a concern for David Gray, but they get the job done and stay ahead of Falkirk for the meantime. And on the face of it, they're only 4 points behind Motherwell. I know Motherwell have got a game in hand. I don't see them catching Motherwell, but you never know. And for Dundee United, I think the priority is staying above St Mirren and Dundee immediately, because their recent resurgences in form has brought a little bit of a pressure on them. Only 2 points ahead of the two sides now for Jim Goodwin's team, who I think are coming under a little bit of pressure.
Definitely. Before we move on to the Scottish Cup, I just thought it would be fun if we brought back the predictions, Ethan, for the full card of SPFL fixtures we've got this week. So, of course, we'll start on the game tomorrow night, 8 o'clock kick-off at Tynecastle on Premier Sports. Premier Sports, if you want to throw us a bit of cash, that's fine. Hearts taking on Hibernian in the Edinburgh Derby. This is a big one, Ethan, for both teams.
Yes, it is, and I think I said they had the strongest window, and I think it'll show in this game. I think Hibs are going to do the double over Hearts. I think Hibs are going to win again. I think there's only so many injuries and suspensions to key players that Hearts can have, so I'm going to say 3-1 win for the Hibees at Tynecastle.
That is wishful thinking, and I'm on board. I'm gonna go with a 2-0 win for the Hibees. Please, God.
It's not wishful thinking. It's just how I think the game will go. I mean, if Hearts were to get a win there, that'd be a massive statement. I think Hibs will have too much for them.
Okay.
Personally.
All right. We'll do a wee bit more quick fire because we're running out of time here. Celtic and Livingston.
4-0 Celtic.
I'm gonna go with 3-0 to Celtic. Dundee United Aberdeen.
Nothing each.
I'm going to go with Jim Goodwin's Dundee United to get a 1-0 win. Falkirk versus Dundee.
2-1 Falkirk.
I'm going to go with a reaction from Falkirk after that poor performance on Sunday. I'm going to go with 4-0 to the Bairns. Kilmarnock versus St Mirren.
We're going to go for a Kelly Neil McCann win. 2-1.
That's what I was thinking. 2-0 to... I'm going to go 2-0, actually. I'm going to go 2-0. And then Motherwell versus Rangers, probably the second biggest fixture of the card we've got coming up.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Motherwell 1, Rangers 1. A repeat of the opening game of the season.
Okay. I'm going to disagree with that. I'm going to go with a statement win for Rangers. I'm going to go 3-0 at Fir Park. Here we go.
Fair enough. Bold prediction, but
now let's move on to the Scottish Cup. Starting off on Friday night's game, we had Airdrie versus St Mirren. And this game went all the way to extra time. St Mirren opened the scoring in the 19th minute through, is it Jake or Jack? I always get...
Jacob.
Jacob.
Yeah.
Jacob Devaney. I don't know why I keep going to call him Jack.
I think I've done that as well. I don't know why, but yeah, Jacob Devaney, yeah.
Wait, is that... See that boy at Palace? Is his name Jack?
No, I don't think so. His name is... He's Devaney, I think, but let me see what his name is.
I know it's a different second name, but it's similar.
Justin, he is.
All right, okay. Why do we keep calling... Anyway, Jacob Devaney opened the scoring in the 19th minute before Ewan Henderson, who's having a terrific season, equalised in the 66th. And it went to extra time. Roland Adowie did get the win. Route One football. Shamal George credited with the assist. And yeah, St Mirren got over the line in what turned out to be uh, maybe a tougher game than they were wanting it to be, Ethan.
Yeah, a struggling side in the Premiership against a struggling side in the Championship, and it sort of played out that way. St Mirren probably had more of the chances, more of the shots anyway, but couldn't really find that second goal. And then when Henderson gets the equaliser for Airdrie, you wonder whether St Mirren have got it in them to go again and get that winning goal. And obviously it takes until late in extra time to get it through Adolu, but they get the job done. And sometimes, as we'll say, probably for a lot of teams in this round of the competition, because almost every game was close, barring the obvious. So yeah, they get the result, and if St Mirren can somehow get to Hampden again, then you never know what they can what they could do, and maybe they can win a Scottish Cup and League Cup double, which would forget which has been a miserable league season for them. But yeah, you
Do
never
you
know
think?
that.
Do you think they would take winning the cup double if it meant they got relegated?
I think they possibly would. It's obviously a question for St Mirren fans. But yeah, I think that's weird. In the cup, sometimes you just get teams, and that by no means was this the case for St Mirren in the League Cup run, because they were excellent in almost every game. But sometimes you get teams in the cup that go on a run that just aren't very good, and they just get lucky and things fall their way, and they just keep going through the rounds. And but you don't get that in the league. The league, you'll get found out. There's never been a bad team or a team that's not the best team in the league that wins the league. It just doesn't happen. But sometimes the cup competitions, it only takes um, one-off performances from teams to disappoint and be knocked out. But St Mirren done the job and they're through. And I can't actually remember who they've got in the next round, which isn't very helpful, but I will check right now. Um, Let me see. They have got a home tie against the Jags, so a little bit of a derby in the sense geographically. But yeah, that'll be a really interesting game. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I've just put the feelers out to a couple of St Mirren fans. I've posed the question to them: would you take getting relegated if it meant you won the cup double? One has already replied, basically saying no European group stage football on a championship budget. F that. So that's the thoughts from one of them. We'll wait and see if the others respond, and we can get back to you and their thoughts. And if you are a St Mirren fan watching this, let us know in the comments. Would you take getting relegated if it meant you won the cup double? But we'll move on. There were some more postponed games this weekend. Off the top of my head, it was Motherwell's game against Aberdeen. And was there one more, or am I?
Yeah, Dundee United against Spartans.
Yeah. So once again, done pitches in Dundee and Aberdeen are waterlogged and unable to play on. I'm wondering what's going on up there. You know, are they literally trying to play underwater? Is the sea rose up and engulfed the cities of Aberdeen and Dundee?
Apparently, it's just been almost constant rainfall for a ridiculous amount of time there, with almost no sort of sun. So yeah, I feel sorry for the people of that area, and hopefully it resolves pretty quickly for not only football purposes, but obviously I think everybody in Scotland complains about the rain, but I don't think us really have the right to, considering what's going on in those parts of Scotland. But yeah, hopefully they can get played soon. I think they've been scheduled for a week tomorrow and a week on Wednesday for those ties. So yeah, hopefully they get played, and then they will find out who they could play. I think for Aberdeen Motherwell, it would be a trip to East End Park, and then for Dundee United or Spartans, a trip to Falkirk. So yeah, two decent ties. And I was saying this the other day. I think everyone apart from we'll get on to the draw. Well, not I'll not talk about the draw too much in depth for now. We'll go through the games first. That's probably the best thing to do, isn't it?
Yep, I was just thinking, don't start talking about the draw right now. We need to spoon feed the listeners, Ethan. We need to make
Well,
sure.
they've seen the draw already. They know who everyone's
Yeah,
getting.
but
But
you know they need to wait to hear our ever important thoughts on it. Oh,
right, okay.
another response from Robbie Rance. He would take getting relegated if it meant they won the cup double. So
Oh,
two different opinions there from St Mirren fans, but we'll move on. You just mentioned East End Park, and Dunfermline did get the 2-0 win over Kelty Hearts without a shot on target. Chris Kane with the double.
I'm not having that. I think the football's got it. This football cup stats in general are just very unreliable. I think. So yeah, I imagine they probably did have a shot on target, but just
I'll check.
sorry to interrupt you
Google,
there, but
Google's usually all right with it, isn't
yeah,
they?
Google might be all right, but I
Let's
was
see.
going to say I don't know if you've seen Neil Lennon's post-match interview or heard what was going on at East End Park, but the players were actually booed off at half time, I think, from sections of the Dunfermline support, which were not very happy at all with how they were playing against Kelty Hearts, obviously, and then inferior league opposition, and somewhat a kind of local derby. I think someone told me. I'm not
Oh,
100% sure on that.
Dunfermline had two shots on target.
Yeah, well, there you go. And Neil Lennon sort of said after the game, speaking to the BBC, I think it was, that he doesn't really care how they get through. They got the job done, and they're in the next round and have a really promising opportunity to get a day out at Hampden, which would be excellent for Dunfermline.
Yeah, there's a few teams in these latter stages. It just makes it a bit more exciting that there's not just all SPFL teams. So yeah, good win for Dunfermline. I'll be honest, I've not really seen the highlights of this game.
No, I haven't either. I just heard that Dunfermline didn't play very well, but obviously Chris Kane comes on at half time and gets the goals they need to get through in the next round. And
Yeah,
speaking in the same vein as St Mirren and other teams will get on to, sometimes in cup competitions, that's all that matters.
yeah, no, absolutely. Moving on to possibly one of the most interesting results of the weekend: Elgin City 2, Partick Thistle 3. Um, and Elgin have made a good showing of themselves in the cup this season. Um, Unfortunately, they're not doing so well down in League Two. They're only 4 points ahead of Dumbarton, although they do have two games in hand. Ethan's hometown, obviously, have had struggles in recent years. But, they made a good showing of themselves in the cup. Um, Partick Thistle did take the lead through Robbie Crawford before Ryan Sargent equalised for Elgin. Tony Watt dispatched a penalty just before half time to put the Jags in the lead again. But Elgin wouldn't go away. Ryan Sargent equalised in the 74th minute, but just 6 minutes later, Ben Stanley put the game to bed, and Partick Thistle did progress. Um, Much like St Mirren, Ethan, probably a bit more uncomfortable than they would have liked.
Yeah, exactly that. But going away to Elgin, despite their form in League Two, was never going to be an easy task. And the cup gives opportunity for teams across the leagues to compete with teams in other leagues and show themselves in a one-off game. And I think it's better that, and I think everyone enjoys who enjoys the Scottish Cup enjoys seeing teams from different leagues compete and make it difficult for the favourites to prevail. Obviously, if they can provide an upset like we've seen in a few of the previous rounds already. So yeah, they done a fair job, Elgin City, and I think they'll be happy with the performance they put in against a really good Partick Thistle team this season, who are well in the race for automatic promotion to the Scottish Premiership, and it's an excellent job Mark Wilson's doing at Partick Thistle after a lot of people, including Partick Thistle fans, I think, doubted the appointment after Brian Graham took his player manager sort of role and became just a player at Premiership Falkirk. So yeah, Partick Thistle, a massive club in Scotland, and they'll be wanting to have a really memorable end to the season, whether that is a trip to Hampden for a Scottish Cup semi or maybe even a Scottish Cup final. We've seen Inverness from the Championship in recent years. Obviously, that final, which is one of probably the most memorable ever, when Hibs beat Rangers to Championship teams at the time. So there is opportunity for the teams in the lower league to cause an upset and get to the latter rounds of this competition, and especially a team like Mark Wilson, so are probably fancy their chances against some of the Premiership teams already.
Yeah, definitely. And I think especially when Hearts are already out and the other two probably perceived favourites in Rangers and Celtic have been prone to a dodgy result throughout the season. That's all it takes in a cup competition. You don't get the opportunity to go again and right the wrongs. Although Rangers kind of did this season, but in that game there. But you know what I'm trying to say. It just takes that one-off result for them to progress and try to make a go of it. So we could see Partick Thistle at Hampden twice this season. And I'm sure the Thistle fans are fully behind their side. And just on your point about Mark Wilson there, I was one of the ones that doubted him as well. His managerial record wasn't the greatest, but he's done a good job. And there's still a chance for them to take that championship title as well. It's still in the balance. Although I will come out and say I think St Johnstone will manage to get over the line. It's not an unclosable gap for them. But anyway, moving on to the Saturday evening game, and this was certainly an entertaining match. After extra time, Celtic came away with the 2-1 win, but they left it late. Ethan Hamilton with a terrific goal to open the scoring in the 49th minute before, and for much of the second half, for much of the game, Dundee looked brilliant. Celtic had a sort of period of sustained pressure that Dundee, nearly committed the cardinal sin there. That Dundee, withstood. I thought Bradley Halliday was really, really good. At right back, some important challenges. Although I think his tiredness showed in the goals that they ended up conceding, but Dundee were very, very good. They just couldn't hold out, because I would probably say in the last 10, 15 minutes or so, Celtic turned the screw. They were just plugging away. It wasn't liquid football. It wasn't as if John McCracken was, having it pull off save after save, but they just kept the pressure on, and eventually it broke. Nice move down the left-hand side, ball played across, and it's a terrific finish from Junior Adamu on his Celtic debut. Lovely, a sort of back heel flick away from all the defenders and the goalkeeper in the 97th minute. Of 5 minutes of injury time, by the way. No, just a caveat that Kieran Tierney was kicked in the head right at the start of that, so we hope he's okay. That's why the additional time was on, because Tierney unfortunately had to get stretchered off. But Celtic did make it through to extra time, and 2 minutes into extra time, Sebastian Tunecki put Celtic in front, and Dundee from then on in, I don't think ever looked like causing many problems. They looked like they'd ran their race. They'd put so much into trying to hold on to that 1-0 scoreline, and Celtic's sort of fitness and quality shone through. And perhaps you could say bailed them out in a game where maybe they didn't deserve to win. But that's the beauty of cup football.
Yeah, exactly that. I think I agree with sorry, I agree with a lot of the points you made there. I think Stephen Presley said after the game it was an almost perfect performance from Dundee, and I would agree with them. I thought there was some standouts. Looking at their team, as you said, Bradley Halliday was really solid. I think I've learned he's one for the theatrics though over his first few games at Dundee. He went down quite soft. I fell at Taneke, and he was also on the end of that Jake Young challenge, which got him sent off for St Mirren. But that's okay. We've got some of those players in the league. But no, he was excellent. He made some really good challenges and kept Celtic quiet, but so did the whole Dundee team. Ethan Hamilton was excellent, took his goal really well. Cameron Congreve was really solid, a player I know you like, and I think he's been really good, a really good pickup. I think that's been Dundee's possibly the strongest area this season, the wingers, because Tony Egan was putting a really good performance again as well. Jan Danda showed his quality and points, but
I
Celtic
think
just showed that
I think when they subbed off Simon Murray, they sort of lost their sort of out ball kind
yeah,
of
focal point. Yeah,
yeah, because I think Scott Wright struggled sort of in that position. He's not really that type of player. And Dundee couldn't get the ball out anymore. And I think that just led up to the build up of pressure that eventually did lead to the Celtic equaliser.
yeah, I'd agree. I thought Simon Murray put in a real shift, and he always does. Although he's been struggling for the goals this season compared to last season, he's always one that puts in a shift and isn't going to give defenders a minute on the ball. And he didn't. And also, I would agree. I think Scott Wright looked a little bit undercooked. Of course, I don't think he's played a lot of football recently, but yeah, he didn't look too great when he comes on. But I'm sure he'll flourish into better form. But
Yeah,
yeah, for Celtic.
he had the opportunity from the free kick, obviously, hit the wall. But then Ethan Hamilton, you got a feel for him. He scored that brilliant goal earlier. The ball comes out to him and he just slices it, and that's game over.
Yeah, and at the end, I thought they played a wee bit over the time as well. I thought they were trying to, I don't know, maybe what would you say, do the same as they done on the full 90 minutes? Because I know some people have been complaining about that, and yeah, well, rightfully so. You'd feel hard done by if you conceded a goal with the very last kick of the ball to deny you. A memorable win for Dundee because I think they probably did deserve it and they were the better team. I thought Celtic would maybe have one of these performances just because of the amount of football and the amount of players that Martin O'Neill was expecting to play week in, week out again and again. I predicted them to drop points against Falkirk last week. It obviously wasn't the case, and it looked like they were going to fail to win this match. But obviously, Junior Adama, who despite coming on with 10 minutes left, I don't think really touched the ball until he got that crucial touch. Good play down the left from Sebastian Tanecki, who I thought was the difference when he came on. He was really positive and obviously massively influential in both goals. But yeah, massive touch for Junior Adamu. But I think Celtic really were, I don't know, they just lacked quality in the game and lacked intensity and just didn't look like a team that were going to be able to beat Dundee. I thought a few people that got the opportunity to start the game, Paulo Bernardo and Joel Mvuka, both hooked at half time, didn't take their opportunities. I know people were sceptical over the signing of Mvuka to start with, and I don't think that performance has helped. I don't think he was terrible, but obviously he gets taken off at half time. So Martin O'Neill must have not been happy with his contribution unless it's a fitness thing. What other thing was there to speak about in this game? Probably the only other thing was maybe some of the contentious decisions. I've seen a few people wanting Cameron Congreve to be sent off for his sort of kick to Kieran Tierney, which I don't think is a red card. I think people would draw comparisons to the one Yang got a red card for at Tynecastle, which I don't think was a red card either, but that's going seasons back now. I don't want to see them as red cards. I think yellow cards fine. It's good to see Kieran Tierney up and about at the end of the game, congratulating his teammates because it did look like quite a sore one at the time. And then
I was
I don't know
thinking
what you,
maybe like shattered cheekbone or something, like, you know,
yeah,
the way he was stretchered off. He was on the end of a couple of bad challenges. Simon Murray flying into one. I saw a few people maybe saying he should have been sent off for that. I think the thing that saved him is his foot was planted on the ground, studs down. So maybe that's what saved him. But the force of the challenge certainly was, um, very very forceful. So and I've actually not seen this, Ethan. Maybe you can shed some light on this. I've seen a lot of people talking about maybe a potential penalty for Celtic.
Yeah, I think it was a penalty. I don't understand how they haven't given it. It's I can't remember what defender it was, but Thomas Chivanchela's sort of running across him, and he puts his arms on him in a push, but the push continues sort of into the edge of the box and on the line. Chivanchela's foot's on the and certainly on the line or in the box by the end of it. And it was Michael Stewart who pointed it out right away and said that could be a penalty. They checked it very quickly and decided that it wasn't, but I think that probably is a penalty by the letter of law because the contact continues into the box. And I've seen some referees saying the same. So I think Dundee possibly got off the hook there, but take nothing away from their performance regardless. They were excellent, and probably deserved the lead right until the end when Celtic obviously get the equaliser and then kick on. And yeah, I think it's good for Celtic though that they've got more options now. They were able to rest Maida and Arne Engels without even having them in the squad, so that's another positive. They also obviously announced Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain at half time, which if he can stay fit, he would be an excellent free agent pickup. He spoke really well in his interview as well, but obviously not a lot of fans to welcome him at the stadium because of the boycott, which seemed pretty successful from well, what some fans would want to happen. I believe the attendance was around just over 20,000. You did see a lot of empty seats at Celtic Park, so the Celtic fans and the Celtic fans collective, I believe, it is behind that are trying anything to cause to get their message across to the Celtic board, I think, and yeah, it certainly seemed successful on this occasion.
You participated in the boycott, didn't you?
Well, I kind of did. I probably would have went to the game if my dad was able to go, but he couldn't go, so I just left it. So yeah, kind of yeah, you could say a partaken in it. But I can understand people's reasons to partake in it and to not partake in it. I think if you want to go to the football and watch Celtic and support the players, then I completely agree with that. If you want to protest and show your discontent towards how the football club is run, and I completely understand that as well. And that's why people should be able to have their opinion on these kind of things. And I know some people's approach is sometimes, well, if I don't go to the game, then this person's going to go to the game, then it doesn't make a difference. But if collectively people think that they can make a difference as an individual, then that's how protesting and anything works.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think what the official attendance was something around 25,000 or something like that, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, I think it was. That's what it said anyway, but I don't know how accurate or reliable that is, but it certainly looked about that because there was large sections of the ground empty.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to the final not SPFL, Scottish Cup fixture of the weekend, and you've heard of
Second last Scottish Cup fixture of the weekend.
second last.
Yeah, you
Oh
get Rangers
yeah.
Queen's Park and then the
Oh my
derby.
God, I'm having a stinker. I've done that twice. I don't know. Maybe it's something about Rangers playing at Ibrox. Just infects my brain. But the second last Scottish Cup fixture of the weekend, and you've heard of 5-star performances. This was an 8-star performance from Rangers. 8-0 win over Queen's Park. As many legs as the Spiders, as many goals as legs. Oh God, I've got loads of these. What else is there? Should I say the one that I said before we start?
No, no, you shouldn't. I think we should just talk about the game.
Okay, okay. I would hate to be a Queen's Park fan right now. So Rangers open the scoring in the 8th minute, funnily enough, through Ryan Derry, his first Rangers start, his first Rangers goal. Corner played to the back post. He's left all alone, nods it home for 1-0. James Tavernier then makes it 2. Um, was this the, let's see actually, was this the open play one or the.
This was the open play one, I think,
Yeah.
first.
So James Tavernier makes it 2. Diamandi swung the ball into the back. He jumps for it, sort of falls down for him after a kind of ricocheting off the Queen's Park defender, puts it in for 2-0 on the left-footed effort. He then scores directly from a corner to make it 3. Ferry flapping at it. Really poor goalkeeping from the hero of last season. And it was 3-0 to Rangers in the 26th minute. Then it was 4 in the 39th, a James Tavernier penalty. Ethan, before we started recording, you were a wee bit. You thought maybe the penalty was a bit harsh, or maybe were you just rage baiting me?
No, I think from the camera angle I seen, and I imagine that there probably is better out there. It did look a little bit unfortunate for the Queen's Park defender. I think he has tried to get his hand sort of in, but his hand is sort of outstretched, and it is a shot towards goal, so I can see why it was given. But yeah, the camera angle I was seeing wasn't very good, so I can't really give an honest and fair reflection on that, I don't think.
Okay. Um, it was 5 in the 43rd. James Tavernier corner swung in. Tochi Chikwani claimed he got the flick on, but it rebounded in off of Matthew Shields. I'm not sure how that works. If it was on target anyway, which it looked like it was, but anyway,
So it's themed how much the ball changes direction. I don't know why how that that's always been one that puzzles me. How sometimes it's just a deflection and it's the player's goal, and sometimes it's an own goal. I don't know if maybe it wasn't. Was it on target though?
looked like it was. Looked like it was
Uh,
going in to me anyway. But yeah, it was 5 at half time. A great first half performance from Rangers. And they didn't quite get the 5 in the second half, but they did manage to get 3 in the 49th minute. Ryan Derry got his second Rangers goal. A nice ball in from Oliver Antman. Spoke about him playing well earlier. And the Derry headed it home. Miovski got a goal to make it 7 in the 80th minute. A nice headed goal from him, assisted from Jada Magoma, worked from a corner kick. And then Tochi Chikwani, nice team move from Rangers, a wee 1-2 with Telo Asgard, and he put it away for 8-0. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with this. I don't know why you wouldn't be. And this is a. I know it's Queen's Park, bottom of the championship, but I think anytime you score 8 goals, it's a statement.
yeah, I would agree with that. I think it is. I think it is, and I think it's something needed. Rangers needed after the sort of worries of the creativity Easter Road to go and score 5 goals against Kilmarnock, caveated by the early red card, and then score 8, caveated by the championship, Queen's Park. But it's still a ridiculous amount of goals to score into the games, and gives you confidence going to a really difficult place to score goals. Motherwell have only conceded 5 at home in the league this season. They're going to score nearly that. They're going to concede, nearly that many if Alex's prediction is to be right when Rangers go to Fir Park. So yeah, but I think the important thing for Rangers was inflicting revenge on Queen's Park, and obviously there's still a lot of players there from the defeat last season, and they would have wanted to right the wrongs, and I don't think this does. Obviously, and they've done as much as they can now, but it'll still be there. And I think for Queens Park, it's a disappointing. You can't lose 8-0. I don't think they would have been expecting to go to Ibrox and win again, but I think they didn't really. They lost their dignity a wee bit with some of the goals, and that'll be the disappointing thing for the
And in,
manager and the
and in,
players. But
and in Athletic, had more spirit, more of a fire in them. I think the only reason that game ended up being 5, as convincing as it was, is because the fitness levels for Annan just weren't there. Queen's Park were dreadful from the start, I thought.
Yeah, and you can see why they're bottom of the championship and struggling slightly more than they were at this time last season. So, yeah, they've got a massive job on their hands to avoid relegation. There's a couple of teams down there in that area, and yeah, they need to get out there because they obviously they've been on a brilliant growth as a club recently, as the oldest club in Scotland, and they want to stay in the championship. But yeah, disappointing day and one to forget for them. But I think if you ask the Queen's Park fans, would you accept getting beat 8-0 in one season off Rangers to trade it for one in 1 year? I think they would probably say yes. But Rangers done all they should have done, and they done a really good job of trying to make the Rangers fans forget about what happened last season. And yeah, a really professional performance, really good result, and it'll bring the players, the manager, and the supporters a lot of confidence going into a massive week ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you said, Ethan, the caveats of Queen's Park and 10-man Kilmarnock, but it does give me personally big confidence. Just showing that we can score goals. I would be a bit more concerned if Rangers had only beat Kelly 2-1 and or whatever, and then struggled to beat Queen's Park. I would be really concerned going into this Motherwell game, but just the sheer volume of goals that they managed to score gives me the confidence where I can say 3-0, even if I don't fully believe it. But I'll put it out there. But anyway, I think a large part of me does. We'll move on to the local derby, the actual last game of the Scottish Cup fixtures of the weekend. Stenhousemuir versus Falkirk. So the last game in question is, of course, the local derby, Stenhousemuir versus Falkirk. And I did catch some of this game. One of the most boring games of football I think I've ever seen in my entire life. It was dreadful watch, an absolutely dreadful watch, even in extra time when Falkirk. So for the whole 90 minutes, it was 0-0. Falkirk eventually got the win through Brad Spencer and Barney Stewart, goals in extra time. But even in extra time, it wasn't a great watch. And Falkirk got a difficult win over the line, but only difficult for the fact I think they made it difficult because they were rubbish. Because Stenhousemuir weren't really anything special either. I don't know if I'm being too harsh on the two teams, but it was a dreadful watch, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I think you've maybe got to give credit to Stenhousemuir for making it tight as the team that's what two divisions below, yeah, top of league, well, second in League One behind Inverness. So I don't think that we're ever going to make it easy for Falkirk. That being said, John McGlynn made a few changes. It wasn't, I don't think, Falkirk's strongest 11 that started the game, and maybe you've seen that in the performance. But they get the job done eventually after extra time. Good goals. Brad Spencer, good strike for the first one, and then good cross for to set up Barney Stewart for the second, and you get the job done with the goals either side of the half time and extra time, and yeah, big win for Falkirk and into the next round for them, which is the main thing. And I think they'll have to play probably better in the next round if they want to advance to Hampden for the Scottish Cup semi final though. But yeah, I think Stenhousemuir will be they would have wanted to cause a Scottish Cup upset, but they ran their local rivals close, so I think they can take credit from that. But yeah, John McGlynn's team keep marching on, and another important win.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was important that they got it over the line and progressed to the quarterfinals. And before we finish off today's episode, um, I think we should obviously discuss the draw. I'm quite sure I know the games, but I'm just going to pull them up because I don't want to mess up, as I've already done about 3 times this episode. So we have Dunfermline Athletic hosting either Aberdeen or Motherwell. We have Falkirk hosting Dundee United or the Spartans. That should be interesting. I don't know about you, Ethan, but I feel like maybe there could be a wee Spartans upset in there?
Yeah, no, certainly. I think there certainly could be. Spartans have had a really, really good season. Obviously, top of League Two ahead of the favourites, East Kilbride and Dundee United. They're in a bit of a slump at the minute, you could say. They did beat Ayr United 2-0 in the last round, though, but albeit that was at home. So, well, this one's at home as well. But yeah, you never know. There could be a little bit of an upset on the cards there. I don't think the Dundee United fans are fully invested in Jim Goodwin at the minute, and that could reflect. I don't think, as we touched on in the recent sort of January transfer window review episode, which you can go back and watch if you haven't seen that. Then we had them down towards the bottom. We didn't think they had a very good window, didn't strengthen a lot. So yeah, I think there could be an upset on the cards there, but I think Dundee United will still be strong favourites regardless.
Yep, yep. And they, oh, sorry, I had a brain fart there. Other fixtures: St Mirren versus Partick Thistle, maybe another one potential for upset, and of course Rangers versus Celtic at Ibrox. Back, like we mentioned earlier in the video, back to back Old Firm games at Ibrox. It's going to be a massive week, and it's going to be interesting because we spoke about it earlier. I think it's anyone's game, anyone's cup. I think all the teams involved, maybe not all the teams involved, but the majority of the teams involved could beat each other on any given day, I reckon.
Yeah, I think certainly so. I think St Mirren Partick Thistle will be a really tough one to call. Rangers Celtic speaks for itself. Falkirk, if it is Dundee United for them to play, then even though you'd maybe say Falkirk are favourites for that, that's not going to be a formality by any means. Motherwell probably favourites and third favourites to win the whole thing. I think there's some people's like the shout of Motherwell winning the whole thing actually. So, but obviously they've got to get past, which will probably still be a pretty poor weather Aberdeen Pittodrie match, and then they've obviously got to go to Neil Lennon's Dunfermline, who've already knocked out a big Premiership side this season. So, yeah, I think most of the teams, maybe I would rule out Dunfermline. I don't think they have any. Well, they have a chance to win the whole thing, but I think they'd probably be your eighth favourite. Obviously, slightly ahead of the Spartans, but yeah, I think there's a chance for a lot of the teams, and it makes it really entertaining, especially when Celtic and Rangers haven't been at their best this season, although they're possibly getting into their strongest moments of the season as the games go on.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But that'll do it for today's episode. Apologies if it seems a little bit disjointed, sort of in that back half. We had some technical issues with trying to record, but we sorted them out, managed to finish off the episode. Of course, thank you to Ethan, as always, for joining me. Thank you to all of you for watching and or listening on the YouTube, on the Spotify. Make sure to go check us out on all other platforms, TikTok and Twitter. But yeah, and we're excited for an upcoming week of big games in the SPFL, particularly the Edinburgh Derby, and also Motherwell versus Rangers on Wednesday night, and some big games at the weekend also. So thank you and goodbye.